Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti, and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is the next part of me working on the Notestrator app, which is a Node.js app written in Electron that allows you to draw on top of your computer screen. So if you have something like a tablet like this, then you can use this on streams, on conference calls, on Zoom calls, and you will be able to draw on top of your screen to explain things. This is what the app currently looks like. Well, the app is starting. This part of my backdrop is not covering the camera, so let's fix that. That's better. So this is what it looks like. So you can draw on top of your computer screen, and this is what the menu looks like. And today we are going to style this menu so that it looks good. In previous streams we have installed all this apparatus for styling. So I brought some of the libraries that I developed, and we are writing CSS today. That's what we're gonna do. We are gonna write some CSS to make all this look good. And it's such an important part of the app for it to actually look nice. So that's what we're gonna do. And first thing, let's start here on the top. Or actually, let's start with something that I noticed last time. You can select the text in the app, and that includes selecting like the keyboard shortcuts in these little circles. I don't want that to happen. I don't want you to be able to drag and select text like this. It doesn't make sense in a user interface for you to do that. And we have used before this property that this allows you to select stuff, and that is happening on the top where it says Notestrator and where you can click and drag. But I want this to actually apply to the whole body of the menu. So I'm going to drop this here, and let's see how this behaves. I suppose that now when I click and drag, yeah, I can click and drag and I no longer select any text. Excellent. Next, let's style this menu. It says Notestrator, and there is no visual indication that you can drag this. So maybe we could make it a darker color. And do we want to say Notestrator? I think it's okay to say Notestrator there. It's like having the title bar on an app like this. So that's all good. All we have to do is to put a background color that will be I think we are using gray warm, and on the background for the rest we are using 100, so maybe we can use 300. And because we are changing the color of the background, we may want to change the color of the text, and let's make it 900, which is bolder than the rest of the text in the app. And of course, every time we change something about colors, we have to take care of the dark colors as well. So in the dark color, we are in the darkest color for the background. So I guess let's go 200 away from that, and let's make the text the highest contrast we can. Let's see what that looks like. And I will also open the preferences here because I will want to change to dark mode. So that's what it looks like, and it kind of goes along with the rest of the apps, not the native macOS apps. This app doesn't have this color, but Visual Studio Code has this color, which is similar, so I guess that's okay. And how about dark mode? So we can switch to dark mode, which goes along with my backdrop today. So yeah, in dark mode, it also kind of matches what we see there. This may be too bright, but we'll see. And we probably want to make the line height a little bit bigger here. By the way, everywhere where we change the font size, we need to change the line height as well. And that is something that is part of my design system. It's called @liafac CSS, and I will have more videos about this in the future, but it's kind of a prototype right now. But one of the things about this design system is that everywhere you change the font size, you need to change the line height accordingly. And where it says Notestrator, maybe we want it to be bold. Well, for sure we want to text align center. Hang on, I will be right back. Sometimes you just gotta sneeze. So let's see what this looks like. We may want to make this bold. It's not centralized for whatever reason. Maybe I have a typo there. Text align, no. And IDQD sound, hello, nice to have you here. Said, would it be difficult to implement a feature that saves all the Notestrator scribblings as a PNG with transparent background? I don't think it would be difficult. Do you want to see the screen along with the drawing? So do you want like a screenshot, or which is possible? I can do that in Electron. Or do you want to have the drawing? Well, I guess a transparent background. Okay, so you don't want the screen. And yeah, we can do that. All you have to do is you can save that as an SVG. Oh, and the stream is saying that it dropped some frames, so maybe you missed something of what I said. In any case, you can save the drawing as SVG, which I think is advantageous because it is a vector format, which is smaller and at the same time higher quality. But if you really do want PNG, I'm sure that there is some browser API to take the SVG and turn it into a PNG. I don't know how it works, but it probably exists. And you know what we could do? We could start a README. And in the README, we could have like a backlog of things that we want. So save the drawing. And I'll say SVG and PNG with transparent background. Yeah, so that is definitely possible, and I'll keep that in mind in the future. So the thing was not aligning to the center. Let's see what else we have going on here in terms of positioning. So we don't have much. I don't know why that's not centralizing. Do you think it should be bold? I think it should be a little bit taller. Maybe not as dark, maybe not as bright, and centralized. So let's make it a little bit less bright. Let's play with font weight, and then font weight, I guess maybe semi-bold. And maybe the text wasn't aligning because the width was not 100%, but it should have been. I don't know. We'll try this. And IDQD says SVG works too. Would be awesome for scribbling little notes and drawing arrows on a video in post. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, so now it seems like this has centralized. I don't know why it was not occupying 100%, and we want to make it a little bit taller. So let's say maybe we can use the line height of this div. Maybe we can set a specific height. Let's set the line height. So we can set the font weight, text align. Let's set the line height here. Let's have it as large. Maybe that is too large. That matches the Visual Studio Code, which is, I think, maybe like too much. Yeah, I think we need to make the text smaller. So let's make this base. Let's make this extra small, and maybe we don't make this bold at all. That seems more like it. I guess we could go with something maybe even thinner. So let's see, small. Okay, that looks good. Maybe too bright, so let's go to 400. Now it seems like it is not active. It seems like the window is not active, so maybe this is what I want, 300. There you go. It is there. You can see it, but it's not overpowering. And it kind of looks native. It kind of goes along with Visual Studio Code. I mean, it doesn't look like macOS Big Sur, but we will have similar styles in Windows and Linux as well, if we figure out the other Windows issues, but that's a story for another day. So I guess I'm happy with this, but I still wonder why this is not occupying 100% if I don't have this. Oh, it is occupying 100%. That's what it's supposed to do. So I don't know what happened before. Let's review. We have something over here in terms of styles. We can remove that. The script thing we do need. We don't want people to be able to maximize this. Or to zoom into this, but I don't think that the Electron platform even gives you that, at least not that I am aware of. So can you zoom in? Can you do any kind of gesture? No. I'm using the zoom gestures and I don't see any change, so that's all good. Then this script tag is necessary for the rest of the script, for the rest of the thing to work. So we are changing globally the font family, its size, it's going to be small, the color and the background color of the whole thing, and we are making everything not selectable. And then on the menu, or not the menu, but the top, we have a font size, a line height. You know what? Maybe what we want is to have a line height of extra small, and we may want some padding. I think that is more semantically correct. So yeah, this is too close to the top. I want some padding in there. So I'll say padding. Top and bottom, I will put maybe a space of 1, and left and right, how about a space of 4? Is that too much? We'll see. Uh, it seems okay. Maybe a little bit less, maybe half. Yeah, half looks nice. And I don't know how much space I'm putting around this anyway, so it is what it is. Because of the window size, and it's not resizable, so this size is kind of fixed. And we'll have to test this. I'm using the system fonts, so it goes along with the rest of the operating system better. But we'll have to see if this font will make, if the different fonts in the different operating systems will occupy a size that makes sense if you're not gonna write like wrap or get too close to the margins. That's a story for another day. So next, we'll have a form which has a flex because I want to put some spaces around stuff, and we probably want some padding around the whole area of the thing. So we probably want some padding around here, the whole thing. Yeah, let's put that in place. So we'll have a padding of bottom and up. We'll have maybe like 2, and left and right we'll have 4. I mean, I think that all these spaces need to match the horizontal space. So we'll see what this looks like. Yeah, that made the flex items wrap, but that's okay. Still don't know how much space we have. Oh, I do know how much space we are putting. So maybe 4 is too much, because yeah, I think half of that would be nice. So let's say that we'll have a space of 2. And maybe what we should do is to have a variable for this. So I'll say that yeah, I want all of these to be consistent. So I'll say I'll have like a padding base, which is a space 2. And this way I can change everything in one place. Or maybe even I'll call this a space base. There you go. So now this space looks alright to me. That's the amount of space that I want. Oh, and there is a problem with dark mode. Okay, so here is the issue. We are going to talk about the color selector now. The issue is that in light mode, there is a color that is too light, which is the color number 2, the white. The problem is that white on white doesn't show, so I put a shadow. The problem with the shadow is that in dark mode, I have a dark color that is too dark, color number 1. And dark against dark doesn't show up. But the problem is that the shadow doesn't help this pop up, so we'll have to come up with a different solution for the colors. You know what we could have? We could have a border around this. I went back and forth with this, but I think that maybe having a border is the only solution that will work everywhere. Otherwise, I would have to like customize the shadow. It's not a big deal, but it's not something I probably want to do. So yeah, now let's talk about the color selector. The color selector, the other thing I don't like about the color selector is how we are putting the keyboard shortcuts in the circles. I think that the keyboard shortcuts need to be something that shows up. I want the keyboard shortcuts to show up, but I don't feel too nice about the way that they show up here. it just doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look polished. So maybe what we'll have is a circle and the keyboard shortcut on the side, which also makes sense with the rest of the options because the other tools will have the different stroke widths, all those things. I don't know how to put a number on top of those, what is going to be icons probably. So maybe it's better to have this visual language of putting the keyboard shortcut on the side. And I'm putting this in a highlight. I'm highlighting the keyboard shortcuts because I'm going to design the app so you can use it with just the keyboard, and I want you to possibly hide the menu. So I am going to try to teach you the keyboard shortcuts. It's not something that you will see when you like go to an option and it will be grayed out. No, it will be kind of important in the app. So what we are doing here is we have a flex and we have a space of 4, but that is probably too much, so we will use a space base. And so if the gap between the items is this, I don't need a padding, do I? And then we want the whole thing to centralize. Maybe not. Maybe we can arrange the spaces so that it works nice without us having to do that. And then at this point, I'm only using the gap. That's okay. By the way, the idea of having a display flex and a gap associated is kind of new, but it seems to work with this version of Chrome. I mean, if I make this space 10, then it will probably spread out into a single line. Yeah. Yeah, I like how now this aligns to the left like this. And we'll make, yeah, maybe we could have a grid and then the circles on the right would align to the right. But yeah, I think we can just figure out the right sizes for everything to align correctly. The problem is that some of the sizes are dependent on your phone, so we may want to have that as a fixed size. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So here we have a loop, and in this place we have the markup for that. So we are hiding the radio buttons, and all this looks good to me. And we have this trick of using display grid to lay the number, the keyboard shortcut, on top of the circle, but I think we'll have them side by side. So instead of doing this, I will do a display flex with a gap of, I probably don't want too much space here, so I'll probably do like a space of a half. And then we will have a div, which will be the circle and the keyboard shortcut right next to it. And let's review the styles for the circle. So it has a background color. I think we will need a border. The border width will be 1. It will be solid. And its color will be a warm gray warm. So I'm in dark mode. I'm going to start with dark mode. So how about a gray warm of 700? Let's see if that will work. I want that to not be overpowering. I just want it to delimit the color. And I already know that the color will not go too well with the gray, so I want this to be as subtle as I can. And I am in dark mode, so I should say, well, I should put a media query here, but I guess I can just copy and paste the media query from somewhere else to save some typing. So I guess what I'm gonna do is just to change the border color over here. and this will be like 200 because the background is 100 in light mode. And now, because I discovered that the box shadow doesn't work in dark mode, I will not use the box shadow, so I don't need all of these. And then we have to figure out what we are going to do to say that the thing is selected. We were scaling things and we were changing the box shadow, but we're not going to use the box shadow anymore. And I don't think that scaling will work with the rest of the design, and I didn't like the way it looked anyway, and the animation was kind of choppy. So maybe we'll do something similar to this, where you just have a little dot saying that this is the selected color. So maybe we'll have something like this. For now, I guess I will comment out all of these. And then for the color, oh, so this is the text of the keyboard shortcut, and I had to change its color because it was against a colored background, but now it's no longer against a colored background. So I guess I can just put the shortcut there. I don't need to change its color, and because I don't need to change its color, I can come to all these places where it says color, and I can remove those because I'm not gonna use them. And then maybe all this background color stuff could be just the color. And here where I say background color, I'll say color. And of course this is repeated. Okay, it is too bright and it's misaligned. So let me fix the alignment first. Where is this? Okay, it's flex, so I can align items center. And it is too bright. So I guess I will change the color of the whole thing. So we are using 100. Let's use 300 or maybe even 400. 400 is okay. This font size is kind of big, but I think that's fine. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what a 500 looks like. And let's see what an extra small looks like. That is more like it. Yeah. What is next? Well, they are out of alignment. It is hard to see, but they are out of alignment. A trick I commonly use when I'm doing this is first I zoom in using the Mac zooming features, but also you can do Command-Shift-4 to start a screenshot with a selection. But the nice thing about doing this is I'm not interested in the screenshot, but I'm interested in drawing the region. Then you can see that they are out of alignment. And because I don't want the screenshot, I can just hit escape. So I will draw a rectangle over here, and you can tell that this is 1 pixel off. But we can fix this easily. All we gotta do is, let me see if there's something else I'm gonna change. Do I want to make this not as bright? I could make this not as bright, I suppose. Let me go here. Oh, and now I'm using extra small, so I don't need to overwrite this over here. So we are doing 700, let's do 800, and we are doing 300, let's do 500. No, that is going too far. 400. 400 is perfect. We may want a bit more of a padding. That's perfect. That is okay. Okay, let's come back to these guys. So the reason why they are misaligned is something that I said before. Because of the numbers, they don't have the same width. So the fix for that is to make the label of a width of 50%. Now what this does is the whole thing will have a width of 50%. And now it wraps. Should I do something else? Should I maybe use a grid? Or I could put something like 49%. These don't have paddings, right? No, they don't. Do I need to say something like display block? No, that won't help. So I think it's time for us to use a grid. So over here where we have flex, we'll have a grid. And we don't need this. We still want the gap. And we want the columns to go automatically. And I never remember how to do this stuff, so I always go to this reference from CSS tricks. And we'll have something like auto. I guess what we want is 2 columns. So how about we say grid template columns, 1 fraction and 1 fraction. There you go, now everything aligns. I can show you. Oh, there is a scroll. We will want to not have a scroll. I'll take care of this in a moment. But yeah, now everything aligns perfectly. Next. I think that the labels, I mean the keyboard shortcuts are too close to the circle. So we'll have like maybe 1.5. Now they are too far away. You cannot really tell if the 1 applies to this or to that. So let's do just 1. Yeah, now that's more like it. And yeah, the borders don't work very well. For instance, with the red and the gray have a bad contrast, and we could try to make the borders related to the colors in the thing. Or we could just apply the border to this first one. Let's see what this looks like without the border. The colors work better without the border, I think. But then we have this one. So maybe we'll just have a border on the first one. Yeah, let's try that. How do we do that? Well, the problem is that I want a border in dark mode, but I don't want it in light mode. Okay. So I'll say border dark. Then I guess I'll say a color here. So we do something like 100. And then the white, we'll need a border on light that will be like 900. Just prototyping this here, so I'm not going to think too much about these colors, but I guess I'll just do something like this just for prototyping. So I'll say border, I mean the shortcut probably should come later. So if the border and dark is in place, then I will have this CSS, but I will use a media query and I will copy this color to there. And I will be explicit and say different from undefined. Okay, let's see what this looks like. We will only have a border on the first one. Oh no, we'll have a problem. What is the problem? Cannot read length of undefined. What? What? Where is the error? What is the error? Oh, the error is right here. It's missing that closing bracket, but the error message was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Border on the first one, no borders on everyone else. That's what we are going for. Now, the problem is that with the border, this seems kind of small. Is this smaller than the other one, or is it an optical illusion because of... It is an optical illusion because this color is darker and the brighter colors look bigger. I wonder if I should not have these as circles because of all these optical illusions, but I guess the optical illusion will also happen in the squares. Also, I kind of like how these look like radio buttons, so I guess I'm gonna go with that. Do we want borders on all the other colors? I mean, this is what they do here. They have a slightly lighter shade. Yeah. 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 I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna do the borders. I'm going to copy macOS in this. Okay. So color and then border color. And I don't think I need different colors in light and dark mode. I will see if I can get away with just the same color. Now let's do some shenanigans to not have to work too hard. And then we'll make things lighter. So it will go like this. Yeah. Now let's see. We have this that we want to use. And I renamed this. Now it is border color. Yeah, all right. I'm not in love with this, but it's okay. I mean, this color is completely wrong. It needs to be just maybe one off, maybe two off. And then what we have here, well, I guess we'll also have two off from the color we are circling. Yep. Everything else is one off, so maybe we could go one off from the color we are circling, we are bordering. No, that is too grayed out. So we'll go two away from the original color. Yep, that is better. Then we have circles everywhere. Let's take a look at these in light mode. Don't you have fun doing this? I love designing. I mean, I'm not good at it, but I love doing it. Yeah, this looks respectable. Yeah. Let's do the selection indicator. So you can tell which is selected. Oh, by the way, look at this. Oh, look at this. This is awesome. Visual Studio Code is using a warm gray that is so similar to this that it almost fades out. So maybe we need a border around all this. But we removed the frame of the window because on Windows, the frame of the window includes a menu in here, which is the menu that is over here, but it includes a menu in here. So we don't want the frame of the window, but we want a border around the whole thing. And maybe Electron has something for this, but we can also just do this by hand. So I'm gonna go with that because then I have complete control over the exact color of the border and everything. I wonder how that will go with that will work with the rounded corners though. Let's give this a try. So if I put a border of, let's do something outrageous so we can tell if it's gonna work or not. So let's do a border of 4, which is solid, and let's do the color will be like a red 500, so it's super bright and we'll be able to tell. Nope, the border is all messed up because of the border radius. And the problem with the border radius is that it depends on the operating system. Yeah, I could disable the borders. I could disable border radius on macOS. Make the window transparent. And then have a border radius on the body. No. Transparent windows are messed up. We already have a transparent window over here, and we could try to reuse whatever solution we find for this one, but transparent windows are messed up. I don't want to do too many of them. So we will not do a border around the window, and we'll just let the window blend with the background. It's a compromise. Maybe we could have a shadow. I mean, I disabled the shadow. Let's see what this looks like with a shadow. No, not that kind of comment. Why do you think that this is HTML? Crazy. Yeah, so now it has a shadow, and it even seems to have a border. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the shadow. The shadow makes it pop, which I don't exactly like, but it is necessary to be able to tell the window apart from other windows. So we are gonna go with a shadow there. What do we have here? Oh, that looks good to me. Okay, let's do the checked indicator. That will be easy, I think. We'll do a small circle in the middle. I don't like how this is too strong. So let's now play around with the colors in light mode, and then we'll do the checked indicator. But in light mode, the color is too dark. So let's go to over here where we say 300. Let's go to 400. Oh, no. That is the background color. No. And it's the background color of a different part, messed up completely. We are over here with a color of maybe 600. Can we go 400? That is too much, so it should be 500. Looks okay. Yep, let's do the little circle to indicate that the thing is checked. So what we are gonna do is, if the input is checked and we are on this div, which we need because we want to align the keyboard shortcut, and so we are in there, then what we'll do is we'll have an after material which has a content of nothing. It will have a display block, and on the thing itself, so there is the thing itself and then there is the after. Yeah, there are several ways to do this. I could do it with a box shadow. I could do it with another element in here, but I guess I'll do with an after element. So I'll have a display grid, and I will have, let's go back to that beautiful document, place items. Well, we don't need a grid. We can do a display flex, and then we can say justify. I try not to reach for grid unless I need a grid. I tend to use flex as a first option. So justify content center and align items. Though I do recognize that flex is a bit more verbose, and flex gap is relatively new, so it's not as well supported, but it is what it is. So now we have that material in there, but we are not doing anything with it, so you don't get to see it. But what if I give it a width and a height? I will need a border radius as well. And this will be small. Oh, I guess I need a color, right? So what color are we going to use? How about just white? And what does macOS do in dark mode? I mean, in light mode it uses white, and in dark mode it also uses white. So we'll just use white. Of course, we'll not use pure white. We'll use gray warm of 50. That is too big, but the color seems okay. So let's go to extra small. That is still too big, so let's go to space of 2. That is more like it. Yeah, I really like how this is turning out. It looks nice. It has a very clear indication of what is selected. Oh, but white on white doesn't work. And that's not an issue here because there is no white. So for that one, we want to make it black. I wonder if this is like slightly pink. No, it is just pure white. So, not pure white, it's off-white. So we will need a checked color. Just on the white, we'll have a checked color of, I mean, what is the color we are using? We are using this by default. So on this one, this is like the purest, the brightest of white. So let's go with a checked color for white. Let's go with the checked color of the darkest of black. And over here we'll have a checked color. So we'll do something like this. Checked color, and by default it will be this. And of course we'll need the checked color. Looking good. Do I want to do something to the text? Probably not, but I think that this black is too dark, so let's go with maybe 700. Still not there. 500. No, I want a little bit darker, so 600. Yeah. I like that, yeah. I can get behind that. Yep, I like that. So that is our color selector. So how about we switch gears? I said that we would be doing styles today, but what if we do something else for a change? Let's commit what we have. And we'll do something else for a change. We'll make the keyboard shortcuts work. How about that? Yeah, let's make the keyboard shortcuts work. To make the keyboard shortcuts work, we could just do something by ourselves in the application, or we could use a library. Let's start just by seeing if we can get key presses to be captured, because we are saying that the windows are not focusable, so we have a whole electron thing going on. Not sure that the keyboard events are getting to the right place. So over here on the body, I could do a on key up, and I guess I'll just alert high. Yeah, because the window is never in focus, it never receives keyboard events. Oh, that is very loud in OBS. Okay. That is more like it. My voice is kind of quiet. There you go, doing some mixing in the middle of the recording. Yep. So that is less loud. Okay. Oh, here's another thing we could do. Because the keyboard maybe not be as easy. We could animate this. We could do a transition for the selection. That shouldn't be too hard. So let's go to the checked stuff. There. And how about we just have some after that has most of these properties and also an opacity of 0. Guess I do have a variable for opacity 0, and I can check that real quick by going to the node modules at liafac css source index opacity of 0. Yes, I do have a variable for that. So I'll go from opacity 0 and when the thing is checked, all I gotta do is give it an opacity of 100. Now that's still not going to animate, but it should behave the same. Now we can animate. We can use a transition. So what do we want to transition? The opacity. So we are going to do a transition property of opacity. We are going to do a transition duration of 150. And we are gonna do some timing function as well of in out. Yeah, now it animates. Does it need to animate? No. But is it cool that it animates? It kind of is. So that's what we are going for. Where was I? Yeah, keyboard shortcuts. They're not gonna be easy because of all the electron shenanigans we put in place. So let's see. We'll have a menu key up situation here, and on the drawing window we'll also have, oh come on, a key app of drawing. And I can press keyboard shortcuts and none of the windows will get any key up. Oh no, but something is getting key up. Because I can hear the, oh no, that is just the sound that macOS makes when there is nothing, right? So maybe what we need is this to be focusable, the drawing window to be focusable. Yeah. So we don't want this to be focusable because we don't want the focus to switch to this sometimes and then back here, because when you're drawing, the focus is on the drawing window. And if you type something, then the keyboard event will go to the drawing window. So ideally, then this window would have the keyboard shortcuts. Ideally, this window would have the keyboard listeners for the keyboard events. But we don't want this window to be focusable, because if we start drawing, then this window will lose focus and we won't be able to use the keyboard commands. Let's see if I am right. What if the drawing is not focusable? But the menu is focusable? Oh, that is brilliant. That is awesome. I hope this is the same in every operating system, because I am able to listen for events even if this is, oh awesome, okay, I'm able to listen for events even if the other window is kind of in focus because I am drawing. Excellent. So let's go to the key up stuff. Let's go to our buttons, to our yeah. I cannot listen to the on key event, on key up event of this guy, because this will never be in focus, so it will never receive the event. But I would like for the keyboard shortcut to live in here. What do I have to commit? Let's see. Yeah, making the menu focusable so it receives keyboard events. And I animated the transition. Okay. I'm thinking if it's time for us to bring in the big guns in terms of keyboard shortcuts. Yeah, I think we'll bite the bullet and do that. So there is a library called Mousetrap, and we will use Mousetrap. To use Mousetrap, we have to come here to this, to the head, and we have to say script source, and then we need to give the source for the script, which I think will be something like path join after name, and then I can go to Mousetrap. Where is Mousetrap? I installed it, so it should be here. Here it is, and we want the it's not minimized, it is minified. Do we want the minified version? Yeah, sure, why not? And then I should be able to say alert of mouse trap. Why is this not highlighting correctly? Because I self-closed a tag that is not self-closable. Oh, I installed mousetrap again. Path is not defined. Okay. Take that. Nothing alerted. That is weird. Do I have to say something like file? That is so weird. Why is it not alerting? Let's comment this out. This is never alerting. Am I making a silly mistake? Hi. Do I have to say like require? If I am not passing a value, then it doesn't alert. So the problem is not with alert, the problem is with this import. Now the problem is Electron, effectively. When I alert high over here, it should work. Now, what do I do? Do I do it like this? Huh? There you go. Here is mousetrap. Awesome. I didn't know I could do that. So I don't have to do all these shenanigans. And okay, so here is a trick. I want to put the keyboard shortcut next to the button. And I would like to write something like this. This is the button that I'm controlling with the keyboard shortcut. Or even this label, whatever. It doesn't matter which part I'm clicking here. But I want this to effectively issue a click when I hit the keyboard shortcut. And mousetrap will be the library that will get the keyboard shortcut and everything. But I want them. I could call. So here's something I could do. I could say mousetrap bind maybe the number 1 to a function that will say document query selector of some input, which will be the first input, and click on that. So this keyboard shortcut will work like this. So now I'm going to hit the number 1 and it goes to the number 1. So that is hitting the number 1. That is great. That is hitting that button. The problem is that now the keyboard shortcut is disconnected from the thing that it applies to. I don't like that. there are several ways to solve this issue. I'm going to go with one of my favorite ways, which is a way that I designed recently, and I think it's awesome, and I think that everyone should do it. So I'm going to teach you how it goes. I'm going to add an event listener. So I wonder if I should just copy and paste this, or if I should rewrite it from scratch to show how it works. Guess I will rewrite it because it's so simple. So here's how this works. When the DOM is completely loaded, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to find all the elements that have a specific data attribute, and I could give any name to this, but I'm going to give it the name of on DOM content loaded. And usually these handlers are lowercase. This doesn't read awesome, but I think it makes sense in the rest of the browser API. So I'm going to get all the things that have this attribute, and on the element I'm going to get that attribute. And here's what I'm going to do. So that attribute is going to be some text. And let me show you one example of how this will be used. So over here we'll have a data on content loaded, on DOM content loaded. And over here I will write some JavaScript. So I will write, for instance, alert hello. So this is some JavaScript. It's similar to on click, for instance. How is this going to work? Well, I'm going to take this is text that represents JavaScript, and I can create a function out of this text. So if you know eval, it is similar to that, but if you don't know eval, what this does is it creates a function that has this text, this string as its body. Then what I'm going to do is to call this function, and I'm going to pass the element on the call. So when I say this in here, so when I alert this, it will be the element itself. So why do I like this so much? Because it allows me to write some JavaScript that lives right on the element that it affects. So it's similar to on click on everything, and it's similar to my approach to styles. But it has superpowers, because it will only run when the whole document has been loaded. The whole DOM will be there for me. And I have access to this. I have access to Mousetrap and everything else that is global. So I think that is the best way to write JavaScript. Client-side JavaScript, that is. I really like this. I think it's better than abstractions like React and Vue and Svelte. As long as the app is super simple, which is our case, I think that this abstraction is perfect. So let's see if this actually works. And it does. It says hello and then the element. And for some reason it's doing that over and over. Oh, because I have several of these elements. That's fine. I can just quit the application. So yeah, I have many of these elements. And another thing I like to do is to put a tagged template literal here. So the same way that I say I'm now jumping into client-side HTML, now I'm jumping into CSS, I really like to have a JavaScript thing here. And now I'm saying I'm writing some client-side JavaScript, which is something that I already did in other places. I suppose I did that in other places. Maybe I didn't. So yeah, now I'm doing it here. Unfortunately, syntax highlighting doesn't work. Prettier doesn't prettify this code, so it's not awesome, but it is really good. There are some Visual Studio Code extensions that try to syntax highlight this, but they kind of don't work very well, especially when you are in this space where there is a lot of nesting. I have some JavaScript that produces HTML, that has some JavaScript embedded, that has some CSS embedded. So all this nesting makes all the tools break. And in the future, I may take up on a project to actually build a Visual Studio Code extension to fix this. But today is not that day. And also, it would be great to have prettier support for this. It is what it is. So what is JavaScript? I have to instantiate it, right? So it could be something like just a string raw. I think it's better to actually use a library for this. So there is a library called template. What is it called? Tagged template no op. That's the name. So there is this library that I like to use. And it gets a few aspects right that just string raw doesn't get right. I'll not go into the details. But I don't need any special treatment in JavaScript, so it will be just a marker to say I'm now in JavaScript land. Again, I installed tagged template no op twice. Okay, so this is going to alert several times, so it's still working. And now I find remarkable that these simple lines that I was able to recreate on the spot, like these 5 lines, they do this. They lift this amazing power. I really like how this looks. And now we can say mousetrap bind. Do I have that line still? No. So mousetrap.bind, and in here I will play a super cool trick. So in the JavaScript that is producing the JavaScript, there are 2 layers of JavaScript. One is on the server side, the Electron side. The other is on the browser side. But I can escape. I am still using a tagged template literal to produce this JavaScript as a string. So I have the power to escape to Electron land and do JSON stringify of my shortcut. And this will produce a string that I'm then going to pass to mousetrap as an argument. So I'm now passing a value from Electron to the browser. That's more or less what's going on. And when that happens, I can just this click. Remember that the this in here represents this element. So I'm going to click on the radio button when that happens. Effectively, I'm going to select or check that radio button. And now all the keyboard shortcuts over here work. And it's not just the graphics here. They literally work. I can change colors with the keyboard and I can still draw. Awesome. That was a lot of progress. Let's commit. So we brought mousetrap and tagged template no op. They are runtime dependencies. Then path, we ended up not using it actually. We used require instead. Over here we have the magical lines. And over here we have the keyboard shortcut. Awesome. Let's keep going for like 5 minutes and then I'll wrap it up. So next, we probably want to have a small division here. So yeah, let's go ahead and have that little line in there to divide. We actually already have an HR. I'm thinking if this is the semantically correct thing to do, and I think it is. And I could just give the HR a global a global CSS. but I find that then I want to do something else with the HR. Maybe I want a vertical separator, and then things don't work. So I'll just do a separator class, and I will write some global styles. Yes, global styles still make sense to me, just in a different context. So at root, and that allows me to define global styles. I will do a dot separator, and I will have a border top of border width 1. It will be solid, and I will have a color of gray warm 300. And anytime I do that, I also have to come here to think about dark mode. So I'll have a border color of, so I'm going in light mode, I'm going 200 off of the background. So maybe I will do the same and go 200 off of this background. Yeah, nice little separator. Maybe it could be slightly lighter. Let's see. Let's see what a 200 looks like. 200 looks perfect. Let's do 100 off of the dark background in dark mode. Let's see this in dark mode. Excellent. Maybe the space here is a bit too much. Yeah, it may be a little bit too much. So let's go to the place where I am doing this space, which is right here. So maybe we don't want to do the space here. Maybe the HR will do the spacing for us. So if I do this and I remove that, then I think that the HR will just collapse into everything. Yep, just collapses. But I can come to the HR, to the separator, and I can give it a margin. Top down will be 2, and left and right will be 0. Did I have 2 before? I forget. I think that is good. In fact, I can do the space base. This guy. That makes more sense. Looking good. Awesome stuff. And it seems like by accident, the size of the circle and the letters, they almost reach the right hand side over here. They almost reach, but they don't reach. So I wonder if I can... I wonder if there is some grid thing that will make like a space between for flex items, but with a grid instead. Space around, justify content, space between. That's what I want. So let's see where I have a grid. And now everything aligns perfectly, doesn't it? It should. but it doesn't seem to. Let's give this a background. So the things that we are aligning, these labels, let's give the labels a display block, not a display block, just a background color of pink. Oh, they are aligning, but the problem is that this is a display flex, and on the odd ones I need to put them on the right. Not sure this is worth the trouble. Yeah, know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this line, save and commit what we have, because I'm going to start experimenting with this. So the whole separator idea is fine. This idea is also part of the separator. Yep, so all this is the separator stuff. Let me now undo, which brings back this line. Is this line necessary? Let's see what this line is actually doing for us. I will put the background on the label again. Yeah, that line was not doing anything for us. So I will find the line and remove it. Let's look for pink and remove it. Alternatively, I could have reverted the changes. Now let me see. I will take the index. I don't need to take the index. CSS has that feature. So over here, when I have the alignment and everything, what I can do is I can say, if this is an even child, then justify content to flex end. There you go. Perfect alignment. Alternatively, so here is an issue. Because I am right aligning this stuff, if a letter is wider than another one, the circles misalign, and they are misaligned. You can see the white and the, I guess, yellow, they are misaligned. So that option will not do. But what you can do instead is we can do a space between. And that's not only for even items. So now we are going to space between, so the letters align to the right here, but the circles also align to the left. And that has the effect of putting the numbers to further away from the boxes, but we can fix that with some clever tricks with grid. So instead of saying just gap, I will put a gap of base on the column. So I guess it is called gap. Come on, show me the gap stuff. Column gap and row gap will be different. Yeah, I'll need both. So the row gap is going to be our space, but the column gap will be a bit wider. This will take out the space from this is great. This will take out the space here in the middle, which will push all the letters closer to their circles like this. And now everything aligns to the right and everything. Another thing is that in dark mode, when I start drawing in black, it doesn't make sense. So maybe we should have black and white as the last two colors, not the first two. And unfortunately that breaks all my keyboard shortcuts, but that's fine. Okay, I don't want the default to be that. I want the default to be the first. Here we are. So by default, we will draw in red, which is a color that I think will work both in dark mode as well as in light mode. Is there anything else we want to do before we wrap this up? No, let's wrap this up. So we did the column gap and row gap trick to push the things to the right places. We reorder all these elements, and then over here you just put a space between. Well, I don't think we need a gap if we have a space between, do we? I mean, it should look the same. Yeah, it does look the same. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. That is it for today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, for supporting me on PayPal and Patreon. Tomorrow I will continue working on this. I'll continue styling this menu and doing all things Notestrator. So tomorrow 5:30 UTC. I see you back here, and yeah, have a good one. Enjoy. Bye.